We've been gone for a couple weeks. There was this thing called deer season.
Yeah.
And this other thing called Thanksgiving. Yeah, so we missed a couple weeks, but we're back with a vengeance. Not a vengeance. I don't know.
Not a vengeance, but we're back.
We're back. So we're going to get rolling because we got quite a bit of stuff to carry.
Although I may be out hunting deer in the morning again. Doe season's in the morning, so.
We're going to get rolling with it and see how it goes. So,
all right, well, I'm going to start us off, guys, here. After thinking about it for a long time, I'm going to sell up and stop playing Magic. I started in 2004, and I love the Commander format. But I increasingly get the impression that the company is making more and more products of, in my opinion, less and less quality at higher and higher prices. And that it doesn't care as much about the casual player as it used to. I feel ignored, we as a group feel ignored, and I'm actually really cut up about it. I know I'm only one voice, but I know I'm not alone. Mero's, then he has a little sad face. And Mero replies with, we're making more products to allow us to gear more things for more different audiences than ever before. There's never been a moment in Magic's 27-year life, for example, that we've been more focused on making stuff for casual players. That's true.
That's very true.
And that's true for other groups, but you were focused on casual players.
We'll continue with some more of this.
Yeah, this is going to continue for a moment here.
Yep.
Mero, I've been a long-time fan of the game. And I've always admired you in particular. I really don't say this lightly, but I feel like it needs to be said. You in particular care about the players, especially casual players, and I've always appreciated that. But the company doesn't. The way Wizards has been acting is insulting, and hearing someone I admire defend them really, really hurts. You've always listened to your players. Please don't start telling us our feelings are wrong now. I enjoy having dialogues with all of you. The last post said we weren't making products for the casual player. I pointed out that objectively, we're making a lot of products geared more at a casual audience. That said, I'm hearing some of you are unhappy. What casual products are we not making that you all want to see?
I can't answer for that guy, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer, before I read this next one, I'm going to answer Mero's question. There's nothing that you're not making that I don't want to see, but there are some things you are making that I don't want to see.
And if I line up 9 more people, we'll get 9 more answers.
I think this first guy, when he hit the more and more products, I think that... So, next question here. Regarding the stuff for casual players issue, looking at it from another point of view, I don't think the Commander format ever should have been mentioned on the cards. Having cards specific for a format locks them into that format, and that means they have less casual use for 2 kitchen table players using regular 60-card decks. The only place we ever refer to Commander on the cards is in Commander products. We never do so in Premier products or non-Commander supplemental sets. The reason we do it here, or we do it there, is there is design space to be tapped, and the Commander audience is very large. Which is true. There's only one exception to that, because there's always an exception, as we said. Battle Bond.
Yeah.
Yep. Ronan Kenrith mentioned it, but
yeah,
he's correct. It's only the Commander products that say Commander on them. An alternative view from a casual player of 25 years, I feel like Magic is better than ever. My group plays cards we own, so bannings don't matter to us. We've happily spent more on Magic over the last 2 or 3 years than ever before, as many, though naturally not all, products have offered exciting new cards and reprints to add to our decks or to inspire new builds. Perhaps our brand of kitchen table Magic puts us in the minority, but wanted you to know that you do have some happy customers.
Yeah, a few.
Please don't let my habit of addressing players with issues on my blog give the impression that there aren't a lot of happy players. Magic is selling better than it ever has, and our market research is showing us players are enjoying the new sets. That said, my goal is to find out how we can make things even better. And I can see that there are a lot of people on this blog who have issues to vent, and I want to hear them. All that said, I do appreciate the kind words.
Some things that we might forget once in a while is that Mayro tends to show us a lot of comments that are negative and then try to bring them into a positive light.
Yes.
He wants the feedback. He doesn't just give us the comments where people going, "You're doing great, keep doing it," you know.
Right.
He's out there looking, how can we do it better? What can we do? So sometimes we get caught in that, and you get in this little thing where, doesn't anybody like what they're doing? But
obviously a lot of people do.
I think that they're making a ton of casual products, and Commander has become the casual way to play. It's not the only way to play.
No.
You can just smash up 60 cards and go at it. You can smash up 111 or 412 or
whatever you want.
Or 17. I mean, I don't care, you know.
17 card deck sounds like Rush is slow, I'm telling you.
I haven't ever played with less than 30, but still. There's a lot of ways. You can draw a couple extra cards a turn. You can play extra lands. Whatever. If you and your friends are enjoying it, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not doing it wrong.
Yep.
Now, if you go somewhere else and people are playing by the rules and you've house ruled everything, you might have problems.
You might have a few issues.
But if you're having a good time at home, keep doing it.
That's what Magic's about, guys.
So I don't see an issue there. Yeah, and the Commander cards in regular sets, they don't really do that. Battle Bond is
two cards ever that I know of.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even a premiere set; it was still a supplemental set.
Do you think that having 4 different booster products for new sets confuses players? I personally ignore everything but the traditional packs. That would be the draft boosters.
Draft boosters.
But seeing talk of collector boosters, set boosters, theme boosters, and draft boosters could be confusing for players, especially when the exact breakdown of the collector booster is different from set to set. Mayro replies, "The reason we have different boosters is because different players want different things, and we're trying to make as many players happy as possible. As new players can buy any product and play the game, the confusion problem hasn't shown to be a big issue."
Yeah.
I think most of the people that write in on this are old and franchise people. Maybe not as old or as enfranchised as I am. And they're just used to a certain thing and they don't want change.
Right.
Because I can't find any negatives in having these extra things.
No.
Really.
Like I said, I do understand maybe for a brand new player it could be a bit confusing. If they just walk up and say,
"Why I'm here."
Right.
Go to your
LGS. That
LGS.
is exactly it.
You're not going to find the answer on Amazon, but
No.
you go to an LGS, I can explain them to you.
If somebody doesn't know hardly anything and they just walked up and said, "I want a pack of Zendikar Rising," and then somebody said, "Well, what kind of pack?" I understand that can be a little confusing, but if you went to a place to buy that pack and were able to ask that question, there's probably somebody that can answer it.
I'll let you know, and then you can make an informed decision. Do you want the regular pack? You want to pay $1 more and get a different pack?
Yeah.
So, I feel that Dominaria is what made Magic what it is. Instead of just throwing a bone every 10 years with a Time Spiral or Dominaria set, why can't we go back to it like once every 1 or 2 years to make it the soul of Magic again? I mean, all these old characters you print in Commander products clearly excite a lot of players, and I wish more of them would see standard play and make main story appearances too. Mayro says, "We've done a lot of market research on this. The audience liked returns, even if Dominaria, but not too soon. Every other year would be too often." And he's right, it would be too often. He is.
And especially with Dominaria, because I'm going to jump on board with Evan Irwin here, it is the greatest Magic set ever made. I've only been back in for a few years, but Dominaria is the best Magic set. The draft environment, the standard environment, it was fantastic. And don't rush that. If we want a set that feels like that again and can give us that kind of quality, you can't do that every year. You can't do that every other year.
I'm liking the mix they're giving us. I was not a fan right after we got onto the singleton sets to have a whole year in Ravnica.
Right.
Not a fan. War of the Spark turned out to be really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I was really tired of Ravnica when we finally got out
Yeah.
of there. I don't want to go back for 5 years. I just don't.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I don't want to see Nicol Bolas for 10. 10.
That-
Keep him locked up in the meditation realm for 10 years. We need to go back to Ravnica with no Nicol Bolas. We need to go back to Amonkhet with no Nicol Bolas.
Oh, that's the one I really want to see. I want to go back to Amonkhet, see Hazard, one-armed Hazard with the survivors in the desert and what happened. Yeah.
See what they've done there.
Yeah.
All right, you said in an answer a few days ago that the only times when cards will reference Commander specifically are in Commander products. Does this mean that future supplemental sets won't have Commander referencing cards like Battle Bond did with Will and Rowan Kenrith? Hey, we were just talking about that.
We were.
Multiplayer-focused supplemental sets could have a few Commander references. So they're leaving that open. I mean, it's
Right.
multiplayer-focused, so... Why create Strixhaven as a magical academy world when you already had Tolarian Academy to build upon? Nowadays named Teleria West.
Well, because the original Tolarian Academy fell into the ocean.
He says we wanted a blank slate to do something really cool. And the Tolarian Academy is not a blank slate. It comes with all kinds of already
Lots of lore.
has baggage,
Yeah.
if you will, you know.
Already has its own card, Teleria West, that does something else. Is a legendary
Okay,
land.
I was meant to look this up, but do you know how that's pronounced?
Playa?
I didn't realize Ashea, Nea, and Kea rhymed. How do you pronounce them? Rhymes with playa, Spanish for beach.
Oh.
So then
Playa,
that's
Naya,
that's playa?
Playa, I guess.
Is that playa? So it's
Ashaya,
Ashaya, Naya, and Kaya?
It must be, because it's Naya and Kaya, so it must be Ashaya.
I sure thought it was Ashea.
I did too. I've been saying it. When I just said that, I was like, Playa? I don't know. That's what it...
Need one of them Spanish-speaking things to tell me how to say playa for beach. Anyway, I didn't realize they all rhyme,
I didn't either.
but they do. If MDFC is the future of two-sided cards, and you're skeptical about traditional flip cards returning, what does this mean for things like Meld or Flip Walkers? Flip Walkers?
The transforming walkers, yeah.
No. Well, I
That's
guess.
what he means.
Are these things... They're not flip. Are these things we may see again in a Modern Horizons or a Conspiracy-like set? Or are these abilities retired? I didn't say TDFC, Transforming Double-Face cards, would never return. Just not flip cards, a.k.a. the cards in Champions of Kamigawa.
Yes.
These are the cards that have wording, a little picture, and then if you take the card and rotate it 180... more wording when it flips. Mm-hmm. Not cards that transform side to side.
I call them flip.
Wax on, wax off. Side.
I knew what he meant because I end up calling them flip walkers as well. I call the Ixon lands flip lands a lot because you flip them over. All right, I know that's
They
transform. But yep.
Has Arcane gone the way of Tribal? Because if so, that makes some of my Splice cards pointless. Well, I mean, we only had it once.
Right.
So gone the way of, it's been like 18 years or whatever it's been.
Long time.
At least 15 years since we had it. I think the subtype Arcane could return one day, most likely tied to a different mechanic than Splice onto Arcane, though.
Right. Because we saw Splice again, but we saw Modern Horizons, didn't they do a Splice onto Sorcery? Or something like that, not Arcane.
Yeah, could be. If or when, Kobold Planeswalker. He says if.
Oh.
Man, I wanted to win on that one. A Kobold
wanted-
Planeswalker? We got Goblin. Why not a Kobold?
Can I get a 0-drop Planeswalker? It comes down with 0 loyalty, but when it enters the battlefield, you flip a coin. And if you win the flip, it gets a loyalty.
Oh my gosh.
What? All right, looks like we're going to take ourselves another little walk here on a couple questions, guys. You're not supposed to look at fan-made cards, right?
He's not.
What do you do when someone sends one to your inbox here, or gets your fan-made cards to you in another way? I have a great sense for when a fan card is coming. I can also stop once I see a name in mana cost. That's it. I'm good. What's the point of the cannot see fan-made cards rule? Every creator or artist looks at other creators for inspiration. What's wrong with that? And several mechanics of Magic already resemble mechanics implemented in other games. The rule is to protect us designers. It's to legally protect them.
But what does that really mean?
What is the exact reason you can't look at fan-made cards? It's a legal protection thing.
I can tell you what the thing is.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they make a card that's exactly like one that somebody sent them, they're going to want money, or they're going
to try to sue.
They're going to sue. They're going to say, "Hey, I made that card, so you owe me money," or "Why isn't my name on that card?" or "Do I work for Wizards now?"
Right.
People are stupid.
Yes.
No, a person is stupid. People are smart. No, a person is smart. People are stupid. I had it right the first time.
There you go.
Watch Men in Black.
Tommy Lee Jones will tell you.
He will set you straight.
Are you only not allowed to interact with custom cards, or are you hard shadow banned from even discussing the topic?
What hard shadow?
Hard shadow ban.
Is that a term you kids use?
It's a little new. I understand what he's meaning, but I don't think I've ever heard it put together.
Okay.
Mainly asking because it'd be nice to get an article talking about game design using custom cards as a framing method, both to get better ideas for customs and also in general game design discussions. Is neat. Mero says, I have a yearly column called Nuts and Bolts, where I talk about designing your own Magic cards. Occasionally, to make a point, I'll design my own cards as an example.
He does. It's pretty deep. Some of them are okay, and some of them to me go. I'm not. I don't have that much interest in them.
Right.
It's neat to see the nuts and bolts, the bare bones of a set, and how they work with it. But at some point, I'm just like, I don't really need to know that.
I don't know. Or care. Yeah. I'm gonna take a couple more here.
Is that the last one?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
I'll take a couple more here though.
Yep. Go ahead.
How much design space do you think there is with instant and sorcery subtypes like Arcane? I like this answer. More than a little, less than a lot. I agree.
Seems accurate. Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere. Could we ever see MDFC Planeswalkers? In theory.
In theory.
That means he doesn't want to think about that right now.
Eventually.
Yeah. Or,
as he likes to say, they make a lot of cards.
Or they're already designed and he can't talk about them.
They make a lot of cards.
Right. That's code for a lot of things.
That's what he used to say. I haven't seen him say that in a while. But
that's code for a lot of things for Mero.
Yep.
I've always been confused why Ajani's Pride Mate, being functionally errated recently, was treated externally, at least, as totally uneventful, but errata for things like flip cards are treated as non-starters. Was the former controversial internally? It was changed because it was causing major headaches in digital Magic.
Digital and paper not getting along.
Keep working that angle. Keep working that angle.
It's inevitable, in my opinion.
If energy appears in a new set... Hey, it's our weekly energy question.
Hey!
We get one all the time.
I'm all perky now.
If energy appears in a new set, do you think that you might make cards that use energy as their primary casting cost instead of mana? Why or why not? It's unlikely, as it's more about being a resource than a restriction.
We've got mana for that. Why?
I,
Activation is good.
activation works, right?
Right, yeah. It would look weird if you had a casting cost of energy. That's box checking.
That's
They don't design for box checking.
That's right.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. I'll take a couple more here, finish up the 15th. With Commander Legends fully spoiled and many feeling that White's offerings continue to be underwhelming, can I ask if the efforts to reevaluate White's color pie in Commander and other formats are continuing? They are ongoing. There isn't much you haven't seen yet. Oh, there is much.
There is much.
I was like, there what? They are ongoing. There is much you haven't seen yet.
Words, meanings.
Yes. So there's supposed to be more coming for White. I hope that there is. I'd like to see White recursion. I'd like to see more White recursion be heavier featured. What about Crow Storm can't be done in Black Border? Good answers. We wouldn't have done that flavor or at that cost. That's fair. But it isn't really that far outside the realm of it.
Yeah, since we're behind, we're up to November 15th, if you heard him say the 15th. That's
yeah.
Just wanted to say I really appreciate your commitment to not making White a clone of other colors just because that would make it stronger in Commander. A surprising amount of people just want things like White Harmonize. I look forward to seeing the new territory it explores, though. He says happy to hear that. See, most people, he doesn't always post those, but people send him upbeat things.
Right. I totally agree with that guy, too. I do want to see White get better, which they have not been doing well, but I do want to see it be in a White, unique way.
Why do we play sealed at pre-releases and not draft? It's both logistically easier and a lower barrier to entry. Drafting, there's some skill involved there, and it's a lot harder for a brand new player to sit down and draft a deck than to just open up and have a pool of cards and build a deck out of it. Trust me, I've been doing this a long time. It's much easier.
And
do I wish we could do both? Most certainly.
And there's just something... maybe it's just a me thing, but I love sealed deck. I've always loved the... There's more skill in draft, I won't take that away, but I've always loved just like, here's your pile of cards, make something. There's something to that.
And it's ideal when a set is brand new to do that. It's a great way to let you take a look at cards you might not normally look at.
Yeah.
And you can see them in a new light. So I enjoy it. Is there a reason Black Border can't care about words and names? In theories, those shouldn't change between printings, unlike rules text.
That's fair.
Well, we print in 11 languages. Technically, the cards follow the English rules in tournaments, but it would be odd to care about a two-worded name, and your German card that has a two-worded name doesn't count because it's 3 words in English.
Oh, fair enough.
And then in regards to that, we print in 11 languages. Actually, if you include obscure promos from the past, there are actually 18 languages that Magic cards can potentially be. Arabic, Chinese, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Chinese, Chinese Simplified, Chinese Traditional, Classic Greek, English, French, German, Hebrew, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Latin, Phyrexian, not a real thing.
Hey, yes it is.
Pig Latin,
There's a card.
Portuguese, Russian, Sanskrit, and Spanish. A fine piece of trivia.
I forgot about Pig Latin's one.
Latin, that's from Unhinged?
Yeah, I believe Unhinged, yeah.
Unhinged, yeah.
Yeah, they just give us a couple more cards in Phyrexian, and we'll decipher that whole language.
If you're going to design the Urza Saga enchantments that become creatures with today's design, would you keep them as they are, or would they be TDFCs? A lot of cards could be done as TDFCs. Cards with 2 states are common in Magic. The question is, how well does it work as a single-faced card? With the Urza cards in question, the answer is pretty well.
Yeah.
May I request a legendary creature for each evergreen keyword? How likely is it that one day every evergreen keyword will have a commander meant to support a deck full of that keyword? Not every keyword wants a deck full of it.
Fair. The evergreen ones, though, a lot of them. I mean, you can...
I don't know. A first strike deck?
Okay, that's the one that, yeah, first strike would be a little weird.
Lifelink, sure, gain a bunch of life.
Obviously, there's flying decks out there.
Flying.
I want to build the all trample deck.
All trample. What are the other evergreen keywords?
I don't know. Those are the big ones. I mean, those are the reach, an all reach deck. Green all reach.
So, do we not already have that? Are they wanting just a legendary creature with flying? And no other abilities? A legendary creature with trample? I'm sure we have a legendary creature with flying. I'm sure we have a legendary creature with trample. I'm sure we have a legendary creature with first strike. I'm sure we have a legendary creature with
right.
I don't know that, but I'm sure we do.
I'm sure we
We've
do.
got a lot of legendary creatures. I'm going to wrap these up before we get into the others here. Rule 111.4 states, if the spell or ability doesn't specify the name of the token, its name is the same as its subtypes. At no point do the cards which create walkers, remember that secret lair thing? Walking Dead? We're back to that.
Oh.
Indicate that the tokens are zombies. Nor can I find any rule that accounts for this exception. By the rules of the game, there is no effect, which means that walkers are actually zombies. Mayro states, the product came with walker tokens, which were clearly specified as zombies. They're zombies. Somebody just wanted to be argumentative.
I kind of agree with the guy a little bit, though, that if you didn't have one of those tokens, the card itself makes no... the card that makes a token says in no way that a walker is a zombie. That is kind of odd and different for Magic. You have to have one of those walker tokens that says that walker is a zombie.
Why would you need it for any place else?
I'm just saying.
It will never, ever happen, but if you had unlimited power as a designer, would you put Planeswalker cards back in Pandora's box? I didn't know that's where they came from.
I didn't either.
And make it like they'd never happened. No. Planeswalker cards are doing good work. In market research, they are the favorite card type.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, it's not as much as it was a few years ago.
Right.
But new players think that a Planeswalker belongs in every deck.
Yep.
As soon as they learn about them, I need a Planeswalker for that new deck I built.
Oh, yeah.
Like there has to be one in it. There doesn't have to be.
No.
I've got lots of decks with no Planeswalkers.
Several.
And I'm talking about standard, casual, command, any kind of deck.
Anything.
Yeah. If when a card that references layers in rules or reminder text, either black or silver border. Big if. Most players are able to happily play the game without learning about layers.
Yeah.
Sadly, I know they exist, and happily, I don't know how they work.
That's the correct answer.
That is the proper way to know about layers. It's a thing
that I don't want to understand.
That I hope I never have to look up.
Yeah.
And if you're super bored and a rules nerd, look it up, and we'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
Just because it surprises me, have you done any research into why some people hate Planeswalker cards? There are various different reasons. They're very impactful on gameplay, and some players don't like that impact. Some people don't like the impact that the focus on Planeswalkers has had on the story. They can pull a lot of focus, so it can upset people that prefer the focus be on other things. They're very popular, and some people dislike things that get too popular.
All are good reasons. I think the story reason has more than some people would even admit, though, because they became so focused and people got tired of the Justice League, or whatever you want to.
I don't know. Avengers is up to 1,000 issues.
That's fair.
How many people read Avengers for 20 or 30 years?
I find those characters much more compelling than Jace. Oh, sorry.
Well, Jace, yeah. Ixalan Jace was compelling.
Yes, he was. I liked Ixalan Jace.
Among all tribes from Kamigawa, samurai and moonfolk, if we exclude Tameo, are the only tribes that haven't got new cards since that block. Were those tribes that unpopular? No.
What's a nice flat answer there. Thank you. Just no.
Alrighty. This is a biggie when we get over there.
All right.
I'll let you go for a ways there.
All right. Should I take that? Okay. Oh, there's just a 2. Okay. Is it possible to have a card that changes damage to loss of life and vice versa?
I want one.
It's pretty narrow and causes issues the average player is probably unaware of.
And we shouldn't get one. It would make some things too good or bad. Both.
I'd like one too. Could you imagine if Bolt wasn't 3 damage but a loss of 3 life? There's just no way around. Hello, Mark. I hope you're having a great Friday. I'd like to offer some criticism towards you. When someone asks you a game development related question, and you always preface that you're a designer, not a developer, it really frustrates me. You're the head designer and need to keep designs in mind that will enable game development to be possible for those designs. Just because it's not your focus doesn't mean you shouldn't have insight into it when making a card. Making Magic is a very complicated task, and that involves many skill sets. I have mastered 1, turning a blank page into a blueprint, designing themes, mechanics, and structures. We make a lot of sets that I have to oversee. I don't have the time nor skill set to master play design, and it's not important to the job I do. Card balance doesn't even happen until set design. I consult with play design each set to get their expertise when I need it, so that I make sure the mechanics I and my team are designing can be balanced. It's just not feasible for me to have every skill set needed to make the game. I think he's trying to say he's just one person.
Yeah, and I think it's very presumptuous of random guy from internet to try to tell somebody how to do their job. That's what I think. I think he answered it very well. Just so you know, I believe the majority of Magic players misunderstand what fire, F-I-R-E, not what fire. Oh, I make fire. No.
Fire
actually is. You say it's mostly just a mantra to remind yourself to make a good set, but many people, even prominent community leaders, believe that it's an entirely new design philosophy that has caused many of the broken cards of recent years. I think if you could find a way to make it clear that fire is not the cause of these mistakes, you might get less flack for it.
People have blamed fire.
Okay? This makes... The reason I took this from you is I wanted to relate it to the fact that people thought New World Order is what caused Magic to go to hell for a while at one point. And they were blaming mythics and the overpowered rares and all kinds of stuff. New World Order was just about making commons simpler.
Yeah.
So that new players who mostly see commons when they bust packs could learn the game easier. That's what New World Order broke down to. A little bit, that's what it broke down to. So much like New World Order, where people go, oh, the New World Order, oh, that's why these mythics are so powerful.
Yeah.
No, had nothing to do with it. So just as a follow-up on the last question, I don't even know what FIRE stands for. What does it stand for?
Right.
FIRE. Fun, inviting, replayable, exciting. They are 4 qualities we want Magic cards to have. Well, I don't see who couldn't get behind that.
Right.
We want them to be fun because we want to have fun playing them. Inviting, we want people to look at them and go, hey, cool art. Ooh, that does a neat thing.
Right.
That's inviting me to build a new deck. Replayable. Well, I've used that up. I can throw it away. Now we want to be able to play it again. And exciting. We want to get excited about it.
I hear Fire catch a lot of flack with all the things that have happened in the last couple of years, and I hear the E be the one people are putting the blame on. That exciting, that design has put too much, R&D has put too much into making all the cards exciting, and not every Magic card has to be exciting. It's kind of, is what some people, but they blame Fire and they usually blame the E. They're trying too hard to make things exciting.
I think I could crack a pack and show you some unexciting cards.
Right. I'm not saying I agree with that. That's just what I usually hear. That they're trying to make things too exciting, and that's how we're getting Omnath. And things like,
Omnath is exciting.
That is correct. So out of curiosity, why do you have this stance that Commander-specific words can't be on cards outside of supplemental sets? It literally doesn't affect the card in any other format if, say, Parthelion, too,
There's no T in that. Parthelion.
Had the words, this card can be your commander on it. Is it literally just to avoid confusion for newer players? Well, it's not a creature. It's an artifact. See, it's a vehicle. Anyway. History has taught us that players think cards don't apply to them if there is text that doesn't apply to them. For example, if we made a 5/5 for 2 and a green with, if you control 5 artifacts, card name blank has trample, players wouldn't play it because their deck doesn't have enough artifacts. That is absolutely true for Magic players. They catch themselves up thinking if they're not fully optimizing something, then they shouldn't even play it. That is a big thing that happens to Magic players.
It is. And you'll notice we're hitting on some topics we did before. That's because we combined 3 weeks into one. So.
Regarding this card can be your commander discussion, I completely agree with the decision to leave unimportant text off of standard cards.
This one's neat.
It is absolutely true that players dislike and are confused by text that doesn't matter to them. However, I feel that some kind of symbol, perhaps similar to the color indicator, would not receive the same treatment. Players aren't confused by set symbols or the legendary border. I feel a commander symbol could be made for niche circumstances. And Mero agrees that is an interesting idea if it could be subtle. That is
I thought that was a neat idea.
That is very interesting. It's very different. You may go on for a little bit.
Yeah, go on for a little bit.
Speaking of subtle symbols.
These are mine.
Okay. Speaking of subtle symbols, Odyssey cards that worked from the graveyard had the little grave icon on the left of the name.
Has a little tombstone on it.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that? I agree. I kind of miss that.
This is a neat story. I did not realize this.
The next block immediately abandoned it, and we never saw something similar again. The original plan was to make the graveyard symbol an ongoing symbol. But Mirrodin changed over to the new frame, and the graveyard symbol didn't fit. So we chose to just make it an Odyssey block thing. I didn't know that either.
I kind of think it'd be cool if we brought those back.
I do.
I found a way to put them on there.
I always like that, like Anger, like the original Anger, right? Has a little tombstone up there and stuff like that. And then you see a reprint, and I always look at it weird for a second because my brain wants to see that little tombstone.
Yeah.
I don't know how much info you can give us, but I'm kind of confused about the upcoming Innistrad sets. Are they releasing at the same time? Are they both large sets? Is there anything you can tell us, or that maybe I missed in the announcement? Both of the Innistrad sets are large sets, and they are not being released at the same time.
We don't know any more beyond that. That's what we know.
Yeah. Particularly with a lot of spoiled secret layers and the past few standard premium treatments, Magic is dabbling a lot in alternate frames. I'm a person that enjoys a standard frame, especially the old border. Oh, yes. And I like borderless sometimes. there are so many now, do you ever worry that the novelty of alternate borders will wear off for consumers? Novelty fatigue is something we're always concerned about. I do think frames might hit something a bit deeper than novelty, though. I don't know. After there are so many different ones, I kind of worry if the same thing.
So, these questions relate to squirrels, so I get them.
But there is, yes.
Hey, Mark, I know A. Cornelia doesn't consider the Crows and Beast to be a squirrel in its original art, but is it sufficiently squirrely for her taste in the new Secret Lair art? The secret, because there's Secret Lairs, the Secret Versary going on. Crows and Beast art is definitely squirrely enough for A. Cornelia. And a follow-up to that, it was when you made the unruling of the original Crows and Beasts not working with A. Cornelia, did you know the new Secret Lair would have a more squirrely version? And he says the new art didn't exist yet when I made the original ruling. So if you're not familiar, A. Cornelia came out in unsanctioned. It's a black squirrel, legendary squirrel that can be your commander. And her ability is whenever you cast a spell with a squirrel in its art, you get an acorn counter. That's one of its abilities. So the original Crows and Beast is a squirrel, because there's not a lot of them.
No.
But it does not portray a squirrel. It doesn't look like a squirrel. But in the new Secret Lair,
it's a squirrel.
We're there.
It's a terrifying squirrel, actually. It's a giant, terrifying squirrel. Just to make sure that we...
You want to hit these two, and then I'll start there?
You'll start on the...
Yeah, we may have to take turns on that.
All right.
May have to double team this next one.
Mark, we can have more white and red cards that... Can we? This guy mistyped. Can we have more white and red cards that create clue tokens to help with the purchase, and more blue and red cards that create food tokens to help in life? I would really like these colors to receive a form of help. Would that be bad for the color pie? If colors aren't good at something, the answer isn't make them good at producing a token that does that thing.
That's a little like giving us a white harmonize. We shouldn't even have had a green harmonize.
No, we really shouldn't have.
So,
I don't know where this Wheel of Fortune question was, but to follow up the Wheel of Fortune question, how does white symmetric draw work? What can it do, and what can it not do?
This is part of some I cut out, but they were talking about symmetrical draw in white, and so this is really what I kept in.
I believe white can make you and any number of opponents, at least one, draw up to 3 cards.
They were wanting to put wheel effects in white, since it's symmetrical. And the limit is 3 cards for white, for symmetrical draw. So that's what the previous
wheel
question...
is symmetrical,
It's symmetrical, but white's not going to get that kind of symmetrical draw. Red gets that big draw like that.
Right.
All right, we're going to talk about blue in Commander. And we're going to talk about it for a while. All right? But it's a pretty good discussion. I wonder if the complaints about stealing in blue are another effect of the rise of Commander. Mind controls, man, that just makes me sad. Mind controls, when control magic is the very first one.
Right.
Don't tend to be playable in any other constructed format because of the high CMCs. But in Commander, they can show up a lot more often and feel like more of a color pie break. Thoughts? I think a lot of opinions are very warped by the Commander format. It stretches the game in ways no other format does.
That's correct.
To continue. I must have cut one out, sorry.
All right.
No, it's not a problem, evidenced by the fact that 27 years later, we still do it in every set. That's quoting him from a previous answer. I did cut out some of the blue stuff, believe it or not. I don't mean to be rude, but if someone says, I believe that what you're doing is wrong, answering by, we do it, so it's not wrong, sounds disdainful. I get that stealing permanents can be in blue because it plays into being reactive. It's usually not very powerful, as the opponent gets ETB and maybe some other benefits, and also it's usually expensive. But still, your response sounds harsh. I don't understand why my response was harsh. If we've constantly done something almost every set for 27 years, it means it's something we believe has a positive impact on gameplay. I didn't take a mean tone or belittle the asker. I was merely pointing out the consistency of the usage of the mechanical item in question. Which is true.
Yeah.
Control Magic was 2 blue and 2. Mind Control's 2 blue and 3. And I don't believe there's been a single gain control for less than 5 mana since that.
No, and
you sure don't get 4 mana.
A lot of them are 6 anymore.
Or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7, yeah.
Hello, Mark. Just a note regarding blue theft. The fact that CMC on the theft spells hardly matters at all in Commander, the most popular and most played constructed format. Cards like Blatant Thievery and Agent of Treachery are incredibly powerful. We understand theft effects are grandfathered in blue, but please acknowledge that it's incorrect to say blue can't permanently answer threats that have already been resolved. Blue can unconditionally answer and steal any permanent type. That's not what I said. I said blue can't destroy things. Blue can change them, copy them, lock them down, and yes, steal them. Blue has many ways to interact with permanents. It can't destroy them. I don't like you saying that because that's not technically true. We'll get to that.
Next question.
Is Pongify a bend, break, or in line with the color pie? We're going to disagree in just a moment. In line. The flavor is it's transforming the creature into an ape.
But it does not do that.
It says destroy target creature, as it's by far the shortest template, but as it's transforming rather than destroying flavorfully, we've allowed the templating exception. Here are my issues with this. I can get transforming. He says at other times that you can justify anything with flavor.
Uh-huh.
So we're justifying destroying something for flavor.
Right.
That's exactly what we're doing.
I understand when Pongify originally was made, maybe they didn't template things the same way, but we now do mechanically the rules, and we template things where something like a Pongify should be exactly like Oko's ability. You turn it into that thing. You do not destroy it, and then they get a token. You literally transform it. That would be more...
I think I go a little deeper here in that I believe the casting cost of Pongify is one of the real issues.
Okay, it's too cheap.
Costs 1.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got that thing. Sure. It's bad when Oko comes down, even turn 8, and takes your... Ulamog, for example.
Is this experience?
This has happened multiple times to me. Ulamog's my commander. Make my Ulamog an elf.
Yeah, that's not cool, guys.
But the fact that you can Pongify for 1 mana...
But if they'd Pongified it, it'd go back to your command zone and you could recast it at least.
Yeah. I could recast it at least. I can't my Ulamog when it gets turned into an elk.
Right.
Mark, I feel like there are 2 different conversations here. You're talking about how the color pie is defined, and other people are trying to say the definition is flawed from an EDH perspective. When someone tries to critique the color pie, reasserting the current definition comes off as missing the point. Try taking the perspective of someone who's frustrated with blue and EDH. Pointing out blue removal doesn't usually say destroy or exile doesn't help change the frustration, right? The color pie is not defined by any one format, but by a conglomerate of all formats. Commander stretched a lot of game basics, so it started pretty far from the center. Commander's popularity is causing the center to shift some, but Commander is not the best format to use an example in color pie arguments. I should also point out that Eternal formats are also problematic in that they include everything.
Cards.
They include everything. Eternal formats, color pie breaks that happened 25 years ago before they defined it.
Yep.
Playable.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's a thing. Mark, I think we all agree that blue can't destroy permanents. Well, not all of them.
Right, we just...
But the implication of that statement is that it is a drawback or a weakness of the color. Like, red can't destroy or exile enchantments, and that's a major drawback. Mm-hmm. Blue, on the other hand, is arguably the best color at dealing with all permanent types because of theft. And it's by far the best color at interacting with spells on the stack. Mm-hmm. I am not sure if this is a problem, but it's a valid point from the blue is too strong people. Blue's biggest weakness is that it's reactive and slower. No one said it didn't have answers. Yeah, reactive and slower. Okay, I guess we play Rush.
Yeah, I was very say.
We're not getting into that. That was previous podcast.
Reactive and slower, but we're talking now when we're talking in context of Commander, game where
that's not a bad thing.
But yeah, a game where there's 3 other people to react to. That is actually going to be slower to begin with. Those aren't downsides.
We're approaching the end. We're within 3. As we charge forward with 3 more of these blue things and enter our last page.
I love how you got the blue ones in blue. Was that on purpose?
I did that one on purpose. Blue has many ways to interact with permanents. It can't destroy them. This reminds me of how blue had bounce spells and white had the ability to put things on top of the libraries. You realize that blue, the best at bouncing, should be better at bouncing than white and made a few minor changes. That is how permanent theft feels. Black is the best at permanently killing a creature. Permanently stealing a creature is better than killing it.
Yeah.
In current card design, black can kill things for 1 and 2 mana. That's true.
Yeah.
Blue stealing usually starts at 5. Also, killing shows up in common. Stealing usually is rare or higher. Also true.
All fair points.
Also doesn't matter in Commander.
Right. Something that I noticed on... I'm going to jump us off track for just a moment, but you brought it up there.
In the weeds.
That video you had me watch where they mentioned the tuck rule from once before, because we were talking about white earlier and white not being as good. I never played with the tuck rule, but apparently white was much more powerful in Commander before they changed the tuck rule, because most cards that tuck a card
that's
are
where the
white.
tuck is, yeah.
So that's how things ebb and flow, I mean, in some ways.
It is. Mark, I understand that the color pie is not defined by any one format, but that still doesn't feel like we're having different conversations. That still feels like we're having different conversations. All it's being asked for is acknowledgement that you recognize the problem of blue's tools being stronger in EDH. Just like R&D recognizes the problem of white and red being too weak. Sometimes I hear you, but here's why it's difficult. Sounds less like I hear you and more like no. Eternal formats suffer the mistakes of history. Blue started the game far stronger than other colors. We've pulled it back, weakening certain aspects and pushing others to different colors, but Eternal formats are always going to be unbalanced because of that. It's a weakness of formats that use all or most of the 27 years worth of cards. Mm-hmm. And finally, blue can't destroy permanents. It's the primary color of stealing them, though. It does, however, destroy or exile a creature and replace it with a useless token. Pongify, Curse of the Swine, for example.
Yeah.
It's essentially a blue kill spell, and I hate it. It's a transformation spell, which blue can do, and not flavorfully a kill spell.
But it is.
It's an example where we use the destroy templating for text simplification. I don't care what you call it. It destroys my critter, and it's in blue.
Uh,
And how come there's not like some kind of random chance I get something bigger?
yeah.
It's always tiny.
Because that'd be...
Frogify.
Yeah.
Okay? Pongify.
The fish one.
Dominionify.
Yeah.
There is one called
There's a fish...
Diminutive? I don't know.
There's the fish one too, Ichthyomosis or whatever,
Yeah.
that turns it into a fish.
But I would like to see me have a chance. If it's just transforming it, why does it have to transform to something small?
Why can't I get a Kraken out of it?
Blue might be smart, but sometimes it makes a mistake. That's how they ended up with some of them zombie critters.
That's right. All right.
Wrap us up with these last three.
We got a
Alan.
few
Take us
more here.
home, man. Take us home.
All right. Could I get some perspective on the choice to make Commander Legends so focused on draft? They think it sells them more packs. Okay. From an outsider's perspective, it feels like it took away a lot of the room for particularly weird effects and more 3, 4, 5 color commanders. As someone whose groups basically never touches limited, particularly with the pandemic, it felt like the thing our group really focuses on, Commander, that we were very excited for was tailored to a different player base than the main Commander crowd. I still enjoyed the set, but was really hoping for more of the weird, unique designs we usually saw in the pre-con Commander decks. The entire vision of the product was making a draftable Commander product. That was the point of its existence. I'm happy to hear about the things you'd love to see in a different Commander-focused product, but Commander Legends is exactly what it set out to be.
It's a draft set.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, if WotC makes a booster pack, a new set in booster packs,
They want it to be draftable.
they want it to be drafted. The places where you don't get draftable is set boosters and collector boosters and theme boosters. Theme boosters are shuffling
Right.
some lands in play. Those are new player acquisition tools.
Right.
That's what a theme booster is.
I can understand where this guy is coming from a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's something that we knew from the get-go about the whole set. That was the point of it. I mean, yeah, I would have liked to have seen a few more weird things or some things I thought we were going to get, but we didn't, and I know it's because it had to be made for drafts, or other things had to go into the set. I understand that.
Success breeds repetition.
Right. Like the big one for me, really the only one I'm going to be upset about is I still didn't get my Legendary Phoenix. I gotta say, why can we not have a Legendary Phoenix? All right.
I don't know.
After reading your odds and ends, I just want to say White got some overwhelming help over the past few years from the point of view of a Commander player. Generous Gift, Smothering Tithe, Dawn of Hope, Cartographer's Hawk, Keeper of the Accord, Mangara the Diplomat, and Luminous Broodmoth all scoured new grounds for White in Commander. And I personally feel the effect a lot. So thank you for those. Mero says you're welcome.
See, he gets some positive
Yeah.
ones once in a while, and I try to share those too.
White has got a lot in recent years, and people don't seem to remember all the time. It still needs more, I won't lie, but it has got quite a bit of good stuff coming to it. If Hull Breacher can't be a White card, does that mean that either Spirit of the Labyrinth or Smothering Tithe are no longer White effects? Because it seems like Spirit plus Tithe pretty much make Hull Breacher. Unless this is a case of green gets Death Touch and it gets Fight, but it can't get a Fight card with Death Touch. Two things. It is possible for a color to do two things, but not be able to do those two things combined on a single card, such as your green example. And number two, those two cards combined are not the same thing as Soul Breacher. It is close, I'll give the guy, but it's not the same thing. White can universally set rules to prevent something, and it can tax something, but it doesn't take something away from someone else and get a reward each time it does that. That's the big one right there. You can't steal somebody else's draws.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Ambush Viper, which is bad because it is a green creature For green and 1, it has Flash
Oh, yeah.
and Death Touch.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a murder in green.
Well, more like a terror. It's only 2, right?
It's only 2, yeah. So.
That's
Well,
pretty good.
it's better than terror.
Yeah, because you can get black creatures.
Yeah, it's like a murder in green. As long as it doesn't fly.
As long
If
as
it
it
had
doesn't fly.
if it had reach, it'd be,
Oh, yeah.
I'd pay another green mana for reach.
2 green and 1, yeah.
2 green and 1 green murder.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
seems good.
you can even make it a 1/1. It's fine.
Yeah. Who cares how big it is, right? No, yeah, Hull Breacher is that kind of card where I kind of wanted it to be white too, but the way they have it worded out, I'd much rather that they wouldn't have made Hull Breacher at all and made a white card with a more white effect in that slot. I will agree with that. I feel like white should have a way to be punishing those draws and benefiting from them in some way. But obviously not the same way Hull Breacher is because it is a blue effect. So,
Right.
well, guys, we finally made it through.
Hey, we're caught up. Whoop whoop. Appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll bring you some more stuff next week.
Ooh.
We will be taking a week off at Christmas because we usually do these on Thursdays, and Christmas Eve's on a Thursday. We'll be spending that with family.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, until next time, we appreciate y'all,
Toodaloo.
and we'll see you again. Thanks.